Hey everyone, welcome back. It has been a little bit since we filmed my last YouTube video, but that is because I have been busy with all the things. It's been a pretty great start to summer so far. I've had a ton of shooting and editing I've gotten to do this summer, which is awesome because if I'm going to be buried in anything, I would like to be buried in photo and video work. So I've been a little bit slower than I've wanted to be on posting some of these videos, but the first round of summer festivities is over, and so I've got some time and going to film this next one. So today I have another Scrappy editing video / tutorial for you guys. It's very simple. I use Lightroom to cull, edit, house, store all my photo projects. I think it's a really great interface. I don't use Lightroom Classic. I use the new version of Lightroom. It's only $10.99 a month for a subscription, which I think is pretty reasonable. And it has a lot of the same features that Photoshop has that you can use in the software rather than having to have Photoshop as well. So I'm all about doing this on the low cost side because nobody wants to spend all of their profits on software and equipment. So this is another edition of Scrappy Editing, like I said. Lightroom is pretty user-friendly to use. It feels a lot like Instagram, and you can do a lot more than you think you can with it. So if you don't have Lightroom, go ahead and download that. And then today what we're going to talk about is hotkeys. A long time ago, my friend Ben said hotkeys are everything, and I have slowly come to realize he is right. They make editing go so much faster. They make your workflow go faster. They just feel easier to use. And so culling is one of those things that can take a long time if you don't have a quick and easy way to get around it. And I really debated about downloading and purchasing Photomechanic for a one-time fee. I think it's like $200 or something, and the more I got into photo work, the more I realized that tools like that are necessary just to make your life that much more easier. And so I almost bought it, but then did some digging on how people were using Lightroom to cull, and I couldn't really find anything, so I started my own system, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys today. So all a hotkey is a button on your keyboard, a letter through A through Z that does something rather than you having to use your mouse. So I screen recorded a session I shot a couple weeks ago. I just went out on a walk with my husband and my dogs and took some photos. And as all photographers do, we come back with way more than what we think we shot. And so I screen recorded that culling process, and I'm going to walk you through it now. Okay, so this is my Lightroom. As you can see, I have a lot of different folders over here on the left, but we're going to be looking at this 35 millimeter album. So to get started, I am just kind of going to walk you through the basics. So the first part of this video is just going through the hotkeys, and all a hotkey is a button you can press on your computer that does what your mouse would normally do, but instead of having to scroll all over the screen, you just click the hotkey. So you can learn all of your hotkeys by going up into your Finder. Pick is Z, reject is X, and unflag is U. So I have a lot of the same photos. Some of these are just from test shots, and I'm not going to use them. So by clicking X, they gray out like you see below, and they're no longer in your picked file. This is simply a matter of using your arrow keys and your X and Z buttons. Same thing, I shot high-speed continuous, and I don't need all those shots of this particular garden, so by Xing, I can just click through them really quick, and they're no longer in my folder. The hotkeys are great. They make sense to me. Z is picked, so all the ones you see on the bottom that are still lit up and don't have a gray layer over them are the ones that I'm going to pick. And this is just great if you're shooting sporting events, weddings, anything where you might have high-speed continuous and you have duplicates of a lot of the same photo just because you were holding down your shutter button. So as you can see, I'm going through about, I think I shot like only 200-ish photos here, maybe. I'm not very good at estimating. But now I went up to my filter tool, the thing that looks like a funnel in the top right-hand corner, and I'm selecting my picked and unpicked photo. The check mark is your picked photos, the X flag is your non-picked photos. Edited, you can sort by if they were edited, if they were not edited. The camera, if you have multiple cameras, it knows what camera shot which photo, so if you have a second shooter and they're shooting on an R5 and you're shooting on an R6, you can see which photos took what. I don't really use the sync status. I don't use the location, I don't use the people, and I don't use the contributors. I did use the keyword feature in Colorado because I had some pictures of Megan and Ben. And so in that case, I made the keyword be Megan and Ben, and when you click on keyword, it gives you an option to create one. And so then that way I could search the photos by who was in it, and that made it really easy to share with her. But continuing on, so now you can see that I have narrowed it down. Oh, there's the correct number, 65. I've narrowed it down to my top 16 out of my 65 filtered. And then from here, I can go ahead and select my unpicked photos, highlight them all, do a simple Command A, right click, and then delete all 81 photos. I usually store everything in Lightroom, so if I don't want it, I completely delete them. And a black hole doesn't mean anything bad, it just means there aren't any photos that fit that category anymore. Once I have my top 16 selected, normally if I have a bigger set than this, I'll go even a step further, and let's say for Instagram you can only have the top 10. Another great hotkey is up in the top left-hand corner where you see the stars. Those are hotkeys as well. So 1 star is the number 1 button on your keyboard, 2 is 2, 3 is 3, 4 is 4, and 5 is 5. So by rating the photos, you can get even more specific. So you have your top 16 picked. You can only post 10 to Instagram at a time. So then you could go ahead and sort through these and put 5-star rating on your top 10 photos. Click the 5-star filter, and then your only top 10 photos will come through. And then you can simply decide which photos need to stay and which photos need to be exported and which photos need to be posted. I'm not sure exactly how Photomechanic works, but I know that at the end of it you get down to the same result. So I think these hotkeys are very helpful. I thoroughly enjoy culling now because I can get through it a lot quicker than I used to be when I was just using tags on the file types. But I do feel like Lightroom has done a good job of making culling easy for photographers. So if you feel the same way, go ahead and check it out. If you've never tried it before, let me know how it goes. And as always, if you have any questions or ideas, go ahead and leave them in the comment section. So that's it. That is basically my culling process for Lightroom. I don't feel like there was a need to get Photomechanic after I learned some hotkeys and some filtering tools. So hopefully you feel the same way, and hopefully I saved you about $200 from having to download Photomechanic. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with Photomechanic. I would say that if you're shooting more than I am, maybe it would be worth it, but I just wanted something simpler and easy, and I wanted to be able to use what I already had. So the Lightroom hotkeys have really made all the difference in how fast I can cull, and I can usually get through a set in about 10 to 15 minutes, and a set for me is usually anywhere from 500 to 2,000 photos. So just get those memorized. There's really no other way to memorize them but to practice and to use them. So if this Scrappy editing tip was awesome and helpful, then go ahead and leave a comment, and don't forget to like and subscribe to get notifications for future videos. I'll see you later this summer.